back to Sports Central. I'm Neil Duncan alongside Gerald Richardson, and normally a guest on this show, but since joining Tourism and Sports Marketing, now a co-host. So welcome aboard.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, just moved a seat down and glad to be on.
It's a very important seat. But hey, this first segment brought to us by the Hampton Inn in Winter Haven, a great partner of Tourism and Sports Marketing. But we'll get into a little bit of what you're going to be doing with Tourism and Sports Marketing in our fourth segment. We have a special guest in our first segment, Dan Talbot, the Polk County's athletic director, right? You just recently had a new title. So is that, what is it?
Oh, so I went from senior coordinator of athletics to now. And I'm the director of athletics, physical education, driver's education, use of facilities for the Polk County School Board. So
that's,
a lot of titles, but
that's close to what I said.
So
right?
Director of athletics is fine.
That's a mouthful.
A lot of hats, but Dan, of course, you very busy week. A lot of busy weeks that preceded this first week of school. We appreciate the time coming in. We know you're extremely busy right now, but let's talk about. I don't really want to look back so much as looking back to find what the best practices are for this upcoming year, because last year was difficult at best trying to facilitate high school sports.
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot last year, and I think it's going to help us progress as we move through this season. Obviously, the mask mandate is optional. So we're dealing with that, but we're still going to be having our sanitizing stations. We're going to try to social distance as much as we can and provide the student athletes the safest environment that you can during this time. And I think people were caught a little bit off guard because I think everyone believed over the summer the COVID subsided and it was going away, and we started to get that sense of normalcy, and then all of a sudden we kind of had a little outbreak with the COVID, especially in certain states, and Florida was being one of them. But we're fortunate enough what we went through last year has prepared us for this year.
Fantastic. Wonderful. We got high school football starting here a couple weeks. What, in that same breath, what guidelines for spectators? Or is there anything in place?
Obviously, we're going to encourage people to wear masks when they're visiting our campuses, but they are optional. Basically, our outdoor venues are going to be at 100% capacity, and then we're going to social distance the best we can. Obviously, some games are going to be well attended versus other games. So those games that aren't well attended, we're going to encourage people to space out, 3 feet to 6 feet if they can. But when Lake Gibson and Lakeland play in Lake Gibson, we're going to be lucky to get 1 inch between the spectators, so we're excited about that too. And then indoor, we're going to be at 75% capacity, which really shouldn't affect us until we get towards the end of basketball season when we start doing the playoffs.
And I think it's probably important to mention, knowing what you face and what your athletic directors face at the different schools, and this information comes in real time, and decisions have to be made, and then the organization pivots towards what's going on. So really, I would think that the school board, and I guess it's more of a question than a statement, but make sure you know what the rules are before you go. The most up-to-date rules. That way, there's not any being caught off guard or whatever, but let's put that on the fans as well to make sure they know what they're attending, right?
Yeah, and communicate with the school, with the school-based athletic director. One thing we're doing this year, we're going to offer digital ticketing, so we can alleviate some of the old school handing money in and tearing a ticket like we've had for the last 100 years in Polk County. So we're implementing our digital ticketing program at each high school, so we're excited about that, and fans will have the opportunity to basically go online, buy a ticket, print it out, send it to their phone, walk in, scan it, and come right in. And so a lot of contact stuff we're trying to implement this year in athletics that we just couldn't get to last year because we just had other things. But we're excited for the sports season, and always we're excited for golf and volleyball, cross country, swimming and diving, and obviously football is what it is here in Polk County. But
is it important in Polk County? Is that?
I think a little. I think, well, to me, that's a difficult job. I've coached football for 20 years,
right.
and I hate to say this, but I would rather go to a volleyball match or a golf tournament or swimming than go to football. I think when you've coached football for 20 years, you watch it different than a normal fan will. Because I get there and I get frustrated, like, why are they doing this? Or you can look at a defense going, they're beat already, and that frustrates you. So I enjoy going to the events I don't know much about because I can be a true spectator. That's why I love lacrosse. I haven't figured out. I have no idea they can beat each other with sticks. It's exciting. It's high speed, high tempo. But
it's funny that you say that because, as you know, I'm a Bartow guy, and Terrence McGriff, the head basketball coach, boys basketball coach, is the best self-proclaimed football coach in the country. He's won state title, 3 state titles as basketball, but he really thinks he's a football coach. So it's funny to hear you say the same. An actual football coach, because he's on the sideline going, "Oh wait, like, what are you talking about? Get to the gym."
And if you coach for 20 years, because some say, like, I never heard people in the stands. Every now and then it did, but when you coach and then you go sit in the stands for the first time, all you had to do is turn around and ask for help. There's 100,000 people ready to help you, coach and do.
Now let me clarify. He's not second guessing anything that they're doing. Certainly not. But so one of the things with you talk about football. It's a storied tradition here in Polk County, and COVID kind of threw off the whole approach to everything, like it has in so many things across society. But that financially impacts all the other sports as well when you're not able to have the larger crowds, correct?
So we were fortunate enough last year because if you go to the previous year, we got football season in. And then unfortunately spring sports got canceled. And in a majority of schools, spring sports don't bring in the revenue like it does in the fall. So going into the so-called COVID year, we were financially sound because now this year we really have to watch what we spend because we didn't have the crowds we used to at the home football games. But the nice thing is we can't buy anything because there's nothing to buy.
True.
I mean, the supply chain in athletics has been decimated. I feel bad for Davenport. I've been calling them Team Skittles, our newest high school, because you go out to football practice and there's a red helmet, a blue helmet, a yellow helmet, a gold helmet, a green helmet, and it looks like Skittles are running around. So those helmets are on the FedEx truck. I just got confirmation they'll be here early next week for their new helmets, and then obviously we're going to take our Skittle helmets and get them out to other high schools because unfortunately we have some student athletes right now that are practicing and kids are using different helmets and stuff like that. But you never thought about the things. I think we're learning more that, the new football coach from Davenport was complaining that he only had 6 footballs. And the athletic director at Auburndale was like, we only have 5. And we've been around for 100 years. So the supply chain was decimated in a lot of athletics. And that's something we really didn't predict or could see coming. And so, like I was told last night, that we got to order the spring uniforms for Davenport this week or they may not come in. There's a shortage on foam because we got to order the high jump pit and the pole vault pit for the new high school. We got to order them this week because there's a shortage on foam. And who would have known there'd be a shortage on foam due to COVID?
Now, these are a lot of things people don't think about. Real quick, and I don't want to cut Gerald off, but one thing I want to commend you and the school board on. I talked about revenues and potential loss of revenues, but what I saw from the school board is that never played a factor into what capacities were, whether those games were going to run or not. It was about the safety of the student athletes as well as the spectators. It wasn't about the bottom line. So I commend you and the school board.
Well, and that's one thing. We wanted the games to happen first and foremost, and we weren't going to do anything, and if we knew it would put a financial strain on us to do so. But at the end of the day, you want to provide an opportunity for student athletes to compete. We want our fans to enjoy the atmosphere. We want it to be as safe as you can. And I think the one thing I learned, and hopefully a lot of coaches learned going through COVID, it's not about how much money comes in or how many people are at the event, but just having the opportunity to play, I think was really the focus last year because no one ever thought we'd cancel sports. And when we went home March 13th in 2020, everyone thought we were going home for 2 weeks. The kids were like, I'll be a 2-week break from practice. And we never came back. So I think the focus is that kids are enjoying the sport more. The coaches are enjoying it more because they're appreciative of what they have. And I don't think it's like that old cliche, you don't really know what you have until you lost it. And when we lost sports for that second half of 2020, I think the student athletes and the coaches appreciate it a little bit more. And I think the stress, like Coach Tate at Bartow, he went under, he said it was his most stress-free year. I was like, well, yeah, when you're 10-0, things are not as stressful as when you're not winning. But he said it was the best year I had coached because there's no pressure. He knew he was in the playoffs at the end of the year. He had so much fun. And I think it was good for us in that aspect that, we can get back to what high school sports should be about. And it's learning skills to help you grow in life, but having a great time and having fun and enjoying what you do. And so it was good to see that. And I'm just excited. I mean, Sam Hornsfield from Ridge Community competed in the British Open. He's a Polk County kid. I know he played under England, but he played golf at Ridge Community High School. So we had a lot going on, and but the fact that we're playing and we're pushing through is a great thing for our student athletes, because you got to really consider the mental health of our student athletes. And you talk to some older generation, my generation's like, it's a football game, but you got to understand it. We can't control what's important to kids, and when something is important to student athletes is taken away from them, it's going to affect them. And so we have to be conscious of that and understand the importance of what athletics does for our student athletes. And we're excited. We're growing and expanding. We're looking at esports. We're going to target a whole nother generation of kids, so we need to sit down and talk about esports. But we're excited for this fall sports, as we all are, sports season, and we're excited for our student athletes to be back in school and face-to-face instruction. So we're ready to go. We're excited. All sports start next week, so here we go. My last free weekend.
That's
and Hurricane Fred is coming, so unfortunately.
Yeah, don't say that. There's a bunch of things playing tomorrow at Bartow High School. Don't say that. Well, Dan, the segments always go by so fast. Just a wellspring of knowledge, and we appreciate everything that you are doing on behalf of the student athletes as well as the school board, because it is a storied tradition in all sports. I mean, basketball and boys, girls, and all softball and all kinds of sports. So thank you so much. We'll have you back real soon.
Appreciate it, and appreciate your partnership with us, and giving us the opportunity to showcase our programs through you guys as well. We appreciate your partnership as well.